Yep, I'm back at it again. So where we left off was we had this patch right there, which was a big gaping hole underside of that longitudinal. So I got up in there and fabricated a nice little patch. And yeah, it's turned out okay. Again, there'll be a jack plate that covers all this, but I'll prime it, and when I get the jack plate, which will be much later, some of this may have to be modified. So I didn't spend a whole lot of time welding those little flanges or anything like that. I can do all that when I deal with the jack plate. So next thing is let the car down and try to fix that gaping hole up over the top of the longitudinal on the, I guess it would be considered the upper inner firewall, because this segment here is, or actually be upper outer firewall. I don't know what they call it. But anyway, I gotta fix it. So, and I'll also start drilling out all these spot welds along here, getting ready to take this off. So away we go. All right, so I got that section of the lower inner firewall out, and down at the bottom, I mean, not too bad. I already fixed that one corner. So it's actually two different parts here, right? The correct way to do this would be to cut this section out. I probably won't go below that bend. I think that's good metal down here. So come up sort of a trapezoid shape, come across here, bend it, because it's got a lip up in there, right? And then there's also a lip over here, and I think there's a lip as well on this part. Anyway, I'll fabricate all that out of like construction paper and check for fitment after I get all this cut out. And then the other patch would be the top side, which would just go up to this bend. And it's just basically a rectangle with, it'd be a flap on this side and then a flap on the bottom. So I'll start off with this bottom piece first, mark it out and cut it out, and then start getting a piece of construction paper in there that fits well. So now I've got this opened up. I'm looking at the top of this longitudinal, and it's rough. I do have, if you remember from earlier in this series, I've got the whole inner clamshell, which I cut this part out because that was all rusted away. So I could do another segment right in here. And if I remember right, it should go back about that far. Now it's not going to, excuse me, it's not going to take care of all that hole, but it will take care of quite a bit of it. What I'm keeping in mind here is a couple things. One, the strength of the car as it sits on the lift. And I'm being cautious about how much metal I'm cutting out at any given moment so I don't lose true square on the chassis. So right now I've replaced this. I've done the patch underneath. Also, this whole segment out here on the outer longitudinal where it wraps up into the wheel well, that's all been replaced. So I think I'm safe to go ahead and cut the top section of the longitudinal out you know, as far as the donor part goes, and not lose square on the chassis. Now, however, what's going to be kind of crazy is I'll have to get inside the engine compartment to do the cutting and welding, and what's going to get in the way, you can barely see it there, that's a remnant of the passenger side engine shelf, they call it. It's like a, I'll come underneath here and show it to you. So it's this, which I'm probably going to replace that anyway. So getting it out of the way would actually make a lot of sense. And boy, I think when I start pulling it out, it's going to reveal some ugliness. Now that I'm looking at it up top here, I really don't want to replace this suspension console. That's a major deal. But I think I can get to it okay up here as far as putting in a segment, cutting and welding without pulling the engine shelf. I don't know how much the engine shelf contributes to the strength of the chassis. Probably has a minor influence, but my main concerns are the motor mount. That's where the weight of the rear of the car is sitting on the jack right now. And you can see this is all original metal right here, except where I spliced there. So I'll still have some original metal left over, but hopefully by doing that, putting in that top longitudinal, I'll be able to find some good metal in there. Boy, this hellhole is really, now that I've gotten in here, it's pretty rough. And yeah, I think at some point somebody might have put some fiberglass or something in here trying to doctor it up, but I think I saw some, yeah, it's exact, well, no, that's metal. That's just one of the layers. So in here, you've got at least 2 layers of sheet metal. So that helps a lot on the strength whenever it's this rusty. So, all right, moving on. Whoops. God. Note to self, always look inside of these metal parts before you start cutting. That would be the metal brake line. So, well, might be able to splice it or get a replacement part. Crap. Well, we went down the rabbit hole real quick on this one, but I think this is the right way to do it. This is with the section from the inner passenger side longitudinal. So again, you remember I cut that piece out, so this is the piece just above it. And supposedly, if I trim that, if I cut it there, but it doesn't look like it's matches up quite right now. That being said, it's offset a good 1/4 inch by the fact it's sitting on top, but still, that gap there is a lot more than a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to mark this, and after I have some lunch, and start fitting it. So it looks like I'm going to have a strip of original metal down through here. I don't know that that really bothers me, because I was going to have to go in and cut right beside that patch piece I put in. So this may be the better way to go anyway. Also note that it starts to slope up right here, and this piece is flat. It's got no slope to it. So, not sure about that. Well, still the way to do it. It's good, strong metal. Hopefully I can get some metal here to weld to. Again, it's a couple layers. So once I cut down in there, I mean, I'm seeing good metal on the side. So yeah, let me have a bite to eat. I'll get back out here, mark this up. I'll have to drill out some spot welds here and take that whole segment out. Oh boy. All right, I think I got it all cut loose. Let's see what's underneath. Well, I knew that bracket was under there, but I haven't massacred it too bad. It's just going to be how to attach it to the replacement part. Okay, we'll tackle that when we get there. I'm just going to take another slice here and figure something out. All right, so yeah, the bracket that holds the heater pipe looks like it. Here's a piece that came out. So it was like this. So the bracket, not even welded at the top. Maybe one spot weld down on the side here. Anyway, I can strip this off, and I think I got just enough metal. I can do a pop rivet from the inside of the new piece. I'll have to mark it carefully though. I think you want something on that. It's a little loose. I don't know. I mean, it's captured. Maybe they did it so it wouldn't rattle. Whatever. Well, I guess it turned out okay. The contour on that top bend is a little bit different than OE. It's a little bit sharper bend. So it took me some, I had to kind of finagle it to get it to mate up. Also, the opening there for the heater tube was not identical. But, I'm kind of cobbling together two segments of what was once one big piece with a strip of the original down the middle. So nothing's going to fit exactly right. I was just kind of curious if I was to have replaced all of that with the original, with the restoration design part, how it would have fit. Because this dimension right here is different. It would have been smaller, top to bottom. So not sure how well that would have worked. I do have to do more work later up in here, where that engine shelf is, and I cut through the brake line and all that stuff. This is much too wide. I think what's going to happen is I'll take a piece of sheet metal and just run it all the way up a long rectangle and go all the way down, clean all this up as best I can, and just do like a patch and not even cut this out, just lay it on top and rosette weld and seam weld the thing as best I can, because this rusty metal, I mean, this is 2 layers thick. I'm getting good penetration here, but it just spitting and, it's just troublesome. So, I mean, ultimately, there's good metal down underneath that first layer. First layer is pretty corroded, but that second piece in there is pretty good. So, I don't think there's any need to cut all that out. I think we just reinforce it. It'll be good. And then of course this whole engine shelf thing. It'll be the first time I've replaced one of those. I had a 914 race car. I just cut them out, you know. So that's it for this part of this circus. Next time I get in here, it'll be to do what I originally planned, which was replace this and this. So, but I'm glad I did this here. I mean, this is super strong. It's going to add good rigidity to the chassis. So, you know, had the part, it would have been a lot of fabrication, a lot of bending, and wouldn't have looked probably as good as this does. So thanks for watching, and we'll keep plugging on this thing. Hey, here's a bonus clip, guys. I went ahead and knocked out this corner this morning. I had a kit that came with the car from Mad Dog Racing called Major Hole Repair Kit. And one of the sheet metal pieces that came with it was this one. Now, the original piece, I think, came way out here in a trapezoid shape. But I've got good metal out here. So I trimmed it down. It doesn't really conform to where the pipe goes through. Not too concerned about that. And it did have this tab on there, which I bent. And then instead of doing two patches, I just made that nice gentle bend there and split that tab. So this turned out pretty good. I'm not worried about along the bottom here because the lower firewall will continue across here, if I remember right. Maybe. Anyway, I've got, obviously when I put the lower firewall in, there'll be a lot more going on here, so I'm just going to leave this like this for now. And there you go, another segment done.